everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Gate with Dustman and Nate. I'm Dustman, and with me, as always, my co-host, Nate.
What's up, guys? Y'all know me by now. And on this episode, we've got Mike on.
What's going on, man? Maniac's coming back to you out of the death, back to the life, and we're going to have a good time here.
Yes,
collect
sir.
a couple of scalps along the way on the mantle, so get ready to be entertained, y'all.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you told us that you were coming back from the dead. So that means you've probably been away for a while?
Yeah, walked away in 2008.
Yeah. And back then, what were you doing? What class were you in? And who was your sponsors?
So I finished out my career as a vet pro. I rode vet for the remaining 4 years of my career. Previous to that, I think I did 8 years in AA and whatever length of time it was in the classic A pro role, like all of us begin as. Sponsorship wise, man, I ran a gamut. Sprinkled a little bit of anybody and everybody in there, man. Yeah. I had energy drinks going before energy drinks were even a thing, man.
Yeah. Right on.
So yeah, I had everybody. I was very fortunate in the sponsor regard, man. And to this day, I still have some great contacts, such as Vans, Dragon Optics, and a lot of really cool cats along the way.
Right on. And what was your frame you were riding when you hung it up?
So when I got done with it all, my actual BMX racing frame was a Formula, and when I got done, I still wanted to ride. I still enjoyed the riding side of it, so I switched back to tried and true to S&M, man, 38 special. Whether I'm going to the jumps or whether I was riding a track, I knew that bike can get down. And shout out to Chris Muller for setting me up back at that time too. Great guy all the way around, and glad to see S&M still running strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I seen that back in the trails. I was peeping it. I was looking at it.
So you want to tell everyone how old you are?
Nice.
No.
Fair enough.
There's dirt. And I'm kind of like one step above dirt.
That's reasonable.
I'm 45, man. 45, 21 mentally, maybe on a good day. Probably closer to 13 though.
Fair enough.
Physically about 108.
Fair enough.
Hey, he was called 30 today by one of the little guys, so that's he's working it.
Facts.
Yeah.
I'd have bought it.
Yeah.
I was happy. I thought he was lying. I thought somebody maybe slipped him a 20. But hey, man, I'll take being called 30 all day.
Right.
Kid tells me I'm older looking than that, but
No, I know.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll deal with her later.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's awesome.
You want to tell everyone where you're from then?
Man, I was born and raised in Illinois. Back in the days when it was just Rockford BMX and Rockford BMX only, what got me into it was the hill, Elgin. Yeah. When Elgin came out in 1990, that was my opportunity to finally start racing. And then as I kind of progressed, started making your way through the amateur ranks, got a little bit better than I was, and a little bit better and a little better, and finally got into the later stages of my portion when I decided to go pro. If you're going to be serious in the sport, it is really hard, no matter how dedicated and true you are, to be in Illinois and be great at this. It is very difficult when you know the people on the West Coast are in shorts and flippity flops, and they're doing their sprints when it's 70, and I'm getting ready for the Grands, having to ride ice jumps because it's Arctic weather in Illinois. So I was born and raised here, and then I don't know. Probably when I was 20, in the wintertime, I migrated out west and I bebopped around. I checked out SoCal, NorCal, Arizona, and then sometime in late 1990s, I stayed in Arizona and Phoenix area and loved that. I loved that until later portions of life brought me back to some unknown reason to me to Illinois.
Yeah, well, it's like a black hole. Once you're here, it's like, you can leave, but you're like sucked back in,
It is sometimes. But, I will say the one cool part is going back to Rockford, such as today. It's the first time since 2006 that I've been out to that track in particular. Mm-hmm. Still a lot of the same faces. Can't believe Jake and Candy are still running the operation out of there. Still running it well, obviously, for that matter, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All the familiar faces. I mean, you see them along here with OGs and legends like yourself, man, in the Illinois eras here. I saw the Mangler still doing tried and true Mangler first turn moves and dropping people. Mark Melton being out there, Ed Zell. These are classics, man. And to this day, Rockford and the scene is the exact same scene as it Always has been and was, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why I like Rockford. I mean, you can go away for, like you said, so long and you come back and there's still the same people there,
And the track is still the same track.
Yeah.
You either got the ponies to the first jump
Mm-hmm.
or you left way behind.
Yeah.
And that was still very evident watching everybody today.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. That's why I'm glad I was on the sideline so you didn't have to critique me. I'm a little sluggish down the first straight, but my track skills are good,
Well, I definitely witnessed those today riding the trails too.
Yeah.
Definitely witnessed that, man.
Yeah. I'm smoother than I am fast, but we're working on it. So, at what point, did you actually get into this, and how did you get into this?
That's a really good one. So, I saw the movie Rad like everybody back in the day.
Yeah,
and I was like, no pun intended. That's really rad. I want to do that. Back then it was only Rockford.
Mm-hmm.
Rockford only raced on Sundays.
Yeah.
Both of my parents, were managers of an amusement park here in Illinois at that time called Santa's Village.
No way.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I've definitely been there.
They're both managers for that place. Well, what's the busiest days of an amusement park? The weekend.
Wow.
So being a kid, right? How do I get from Streamwood 65 miles away to Rockford on days where your parents are working? They can't
right.
get off isn't really, a potential.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and raced one Friday night, but could never do after that. I got second place the first one at Rockford, and that was kind of a wrap, man. I started skateboarding, started getting really good at skateboarding, was actually getting ready to go pro. And 15 years old, boys being boys. It was 1991. Me and my buddy that I was spending the night at, we were talking trash, right? He used to race. I raced a whopping one time, so I was Billy Badass, of course. And we were talking trash. Well, I beat you. No, I beat you. Well, let's find out.
Right.
So his parents, this was on a Friday night. His parents the very next morning went and bought him a bike. Elgin BMX, the hill just began the year prior at the end of it. We went to the hill, was rebitten by the bug. It was close enough to my parents' work that they could drop me off and pick me up way after races were done and everybody's riding and doing their hot laps still. And man, as they say, the rest is that, man.
Awesome. So the parents was like, all right, you guys are going to put up or shut up.
Yeah. It was
on the track.
It was good. And I'm happy to say that, I whooped him 4 laps to 6. So, or 4 laps to 2,
That's
excuse me.
awesome.
And, got the early stages of the wins in.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so what year was that?
1991.
91. Okay.
91.
Cool. That wasn't too far or too early for me. I came in 94.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was different times, man, all the way around. The tracks then were different. The hill back at that time was definitely lived up to its name, and that track didn't play.
I remember them boulders. They used to have them big old boulders in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like a rock quarry or something.
Yeah, it was literally a rock quarry.
Yeah.
And the first straight, the first turn was so fast and you were going so quick that it had to be a 90 degree. You couldn't do a 180 because you couldn't, without locking up the brakes. That wasn't possible in that time.
Yeah.
Jumps obviously hadn't progressed to the level that you could maintain speed either. So that really wasn't at that time frame.
Right.
And, yeah, man, I think by 92, I was expert and was, a police guy came out there with his radar gun and clocked me doing 39.5 miles per hour. And I wasn't very good then. So I can only imagine the guys like, the guy you've already spoke about, Mighty Mo Tillman.
Yeah.
I don't even want to imagine how much faster that cat was going out there. Craig Reynolds, who was, hitting the birthing of his BMX pro career at that time. Same thing, man. God, I don't want to even fathom how fast those dudes were going.
Oh, right, for sure. And they were moving back then. Like you said earlier, I mean, the pros back then, they worked harder. They do. Yeah. They did, for sure. And you can tell.
Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit, but you pros watching nowadays, slackers, dude.
Yeah.
You guys, you look a whole lot prettier. I'm going to give you that. You look a whole lot prettier and can ride bikes better than we can. But first straightaway, at 45, I'll pull your asses.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's what Terry Tennant, that's what he's been back in it, and he's been trying to tell him the same thing, or Mr. T, he's trying to come back to Elite Pro as like what, 45-year-old or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
He was like, I would be the oldest, cat coming out here pulling you guys, which he probably, if he worked hard enough, he probably could, because he was he's got
and John Purse, man, 2 guys in the sport that their mentalities were so different and so far beyond what anybody else could come up with. Mr. T, damn, Tanette he would literally not show up until first moto at the Christmas Classic. Was always, renowned for having superb jumps.
Mm-hmm.
He did not have the best of bike handling skills to begin with, right? He wouldn't show up in no trails. This is not Terry Tanette's style. But damn, you get that guy down on the first straightaway and he'd out pony anybody.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he could to this day get on a track like Rockford and just pull some people's heads off, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that was the style of you guys back then. It was totally different. Totally different.
It was, man. And as we'll get to here in a little bit, again, BMX has gotten soft. You guys have gotten soft. You need to harden up. You need to man up a little bit, take some pills, do whatever you need to do to take your man pill again. And you got to get some cojones and some stones back, BMX pros up today. 2021, this ain't having it. This ain't excited no more, man. I watched you guys today. Pony up.
Yeah.
Pony up. Put some elbows down. Get physical. Stop looking so damn pretty.
Right. Following each other around, in a line like a parade, See, that's another thing though. The USA BMX is kind of, they got all these damn rules, like 30-foot line, the first 30-foot line, you guys can't move now. Same thing with the last straightaway. You got that, what is it? Like you can't move over
out of the last turn.
Yeah.
UCI rules.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what it is. It's UCI ruining our sport, And,
there's good and bads, man, right? There's your pros because you got set rules that definitively says this is what you have to do.
Right.
But then there's also that gray area. There's been UCI races way back in the day. So way back Waterford, Michigan. And again, you old school guys are going to know the event I'm talking about. World Championships. I want to say it was around 90, 93, 94, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. It was 17 and over men. There was 300 dudes in our class. 300 dudes.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had like 100. So you got semis or quarters. We had 128ths.
That's incredible. Wow.
And I was fortunate enough to make it until I think it was semis. It was semis or quarters.
That's crazy.
And came out of the last turn. The guy in front of me cut over, and I ended up getting blocked. Right.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel right on protesting either. So it's great to have those rules that are set, but then you gotta find those gray areas at the same time where it's like, dude, that's just racing.
Yeah.
The old saying, rubbing is racing.
Yeah, for sure.
And people need to get back to that, man.
Right.
Not that everybody needs to get blasted, right? And be taking a body. But to your point, single file racing is just boring.
It is boring. Yeah. And that's
boring being a part of it. It's sure as hell being boring watching it.
Yeah. That's what it came to,
Yeah. And, again, Clips has definitely changed that game too. It's changed the physicality to it. It's changed the quality of riding and the overall athletic ability that it takes for someone to achieve greatness in the sport.
I believe that. So rolling it back to when you first started, what was the bike that you started on?
Oh, so when I did my very first race, when the Friday night, I was on a Diamondback Harry Larry model.
Okay.
And it was the dopest bike ever. It was black chrome. Everything was black chrome, and it was dope. Yeah. And then I did that one race, right? And then right before I started skateboarding, I cracked it. And that's also kind of what led me down a different path because I couldn't buy another bike like that.
Yeah. Right.
And at that time, newspapers were a thing. YouTube it, look it up. I know you don't know what I'm talking about. So, newspapers were a thing, and literally, somebody had it in a newspaper that they were selling it, and that's how I got it. Okay. And then when I started at 15, I had a GT, just a straight GT chromoly race bike, man. Right. Nothing special about it, but it got the job done.
Yeah. Sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah. This is old school, man.
Right.
So what, or should I say, how long did it take you to turn expert?
It took me a couple of months, and I basically went novice to intermediate in about 3 months, intermediate to expert and right around that same time period. And every time I was getting ready to make that next step, you know, that leap of faith, because that's what it is. It's a leap of faith in you.
Right.
And everybody told me not to do it. So for any of you guys that are out there right now that are listening, and I'm sure somebody out there, even if it's just one of y'all can relate to this, and you're ready to take that next step, whatever that may mean for you, and you got people telling you can't do it, they don't know you. They don't know what you're capable of. And quite frankly, you probably don't know what you're capable of either. Something we kind of talked about at the track for a second. I was really gifted to have good bike handling skills. Like I knew how to ride a bicycle, right? I was blessed with that.
Right.
I have not rode my BMX bike, since 2008. We are now how many years later? And again, I was dead sailor, stiff as hell, but I am damn proud to say that I made it successfully all the way through the jumps today. I didn't get broke off.
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy with that. Again, I don't even ride my bike around the block with my kid for that matter, and, but I could always knew how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
I was never blessed with the athletic ability to go fast, however.
That's me. That's me.
When I went from novice to inter, all the people were like, no, man, you're a great novice. You don't want to do that yet. What am I going to do? Just like get second every time?
Right.
Yeah, because that's what the competitor in me wants to do. Lose, right?
Yeah.
Second means you lost.
Yeah.
You're still lost.
Right. No matter if you let them, it don't matter.
And then I turned intermediate. I was 2 wins away from turning expert. Same thing. All the, the local sponsors were all stoked to have them, right? And thank you for all those guys supporting your scene for that matter, of course, too. But they were all, no, you don't want to do that. Our team sheet, man, you're not going to be able to do this as expert. And those guys are so much faster than you. Sure, they were.
They were.
Right? Did I make the mains in the beginning? Oh, once in a while. Maybe I got fortunate here or there. But like anything else, it's that learning curve.
Right.
And then it was the same exact thing. I was 19, won some titles, was nag consistently, was winning national main events all the time. Obviously extremely good on the local front because I still supported Elgin, still went to Rockford all the time. And kind of with the exception of getting to win that prestigious national #1 amateur achievement and title, kind of hit that spot. And it was like, man, what do I do? Do I want to stay amateur another year? Without mentioning names, there was a very large sponsor on the table at that time that wanted me to be their solo rider, but I had to do the 1 year as amateur. I didn't want to do amateur anymore.
Yeah.
And again, it was the same thing. Don't turn pro. You're not going to make it. And I had to believe in me, man.
Right.
And I did. So I ended up turning A pro in Grands of 1996.
Wow.
And, again, that kind of same theme resonated throughout a large portion of my career, man, where everybody told you can't do it and you just had to prove them wrong, man. And haters are going to hate until you prove them wrong. And they're still going to hate.
Yeah.
But they're wrong.
Wow.
Wrong. No, you were. It's just, you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
In this sport, the one thing that you never want to give your competition is the belief in themselves.
Yeah.
Because you can be the superb athlete. You can be physically better than your competition in every attribute. But if you don't have that mental fortitude, you're never going to get what's yours. And vice versa. There was a lot of pros in my generation that were very subpar athletes, but they had so much determination and belief in themselves that they were top 5 pros.
Yeah.
And not just for that day, year over year over year over year, they were some of the biggest beasts of those years, man. Yeah. And what made them special and what made them great is that heart and that belief in themselves, along with obviously having an amazing work ethic.
Right.
You don't just get gifted this.
Right. Yeah.
And speaking of that work ethic, what kind of work did you put into the training side when you stepped up from expert to pro?
And again, that's a good one, man. And coincidentally enough, thinking back, it was actually Harry Larry again. Here I had the man's bike, when I before I even began technically.
Mm-hmm.
And I just moved out to LA, and I didn't understand. I thought racing BMX was trails and jumps and Sheep Hills, California.
Right.
That's what I went to California for. I wanted to ride Sheep Hills.
Yeah,
Right.
And then I went out to the local track, and 12-year-old experts were dogging me. they were putting a stomping on me.
Yeah.
In fact, specifically Mikey Day, if you happen to be watching this, he was one of them back in the day.
Yeah,
He hasn't actually beaten me in fairness, but
Yeah, yeah.
he was damn close to beating me down the first straightaway.
Right, right.
And that kid had crazy bike.
Oh yeah,
skills.
for sure.
But-
For sure.
Definitely.
I remember Harry Larry was telling me how you have to do 100-yard sprints. You got to do 6 of them. You got to do 6 100-yard sprints on flat surface, and you got to do these at 3-minute intervals. And then I tried. I got to sprint 3, and I said, I can't do 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
What you mean I got to do 6?
That is-
And then,
Yeah.
no, literally, I was next to my apartment yakking.
Yeah.
I couldn't do more than 3 of those.
Right.
I could do whole laps and track stamina was never an
Well,
issue.
That's only 30, 40 seconds.
I ain't done no sprints. What is this side of the equation?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like that side, man.
Yeah.
So for a long bit, I stayed in my little bubble, in my comfort zone, and I just rode, and I loved to ride. I rode skate parks, I rode jumps, I rode wherever there was fun. I wanted to be a part of the fun.
Right.
Wherever the work was, I go the opposite. We go over,
Right.
we over here.
Right.
And then in the later portions, I was told some really great wisdom. Let me rephrase that. I read really great wisdom out of Danny Nelson. And he talked about his strengths and his weaknesses and what happened for him. And he said, well, your strengths are what you were gifted with, man. They're never going away.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't need to work on my first straightaway anymore.
Right.
But I need to work on the bike handling skills, right?
Okay.
Because that dude could drop a hammer down the first straightaway.
Oh yeah.
He had some
Yeah.
ponies.
Danny Nelson.
But again, his bike riding, especially as your newer school, your newer breed of riders continue and progress,
Mhm.
tracks were progressing at that time. His bike, his total track speed wasn't there.
Okay.
And he was constantly top 3, top 5, right?
Mhm.
But he could never get that number 1 title.
Okay.
And then he changed that portion and he won all 3 titles in the same year.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Won the UCI title, the NBL title, the ABA title, all in the same year. And that was the one thing he changed. And for me, that was eye opener, man. And, that's where I started to realize, okay, so about that 100-yard sprint thing.
Yeah, right.
Maybe there's some truth to that. And then again, your John Persis came out. He teamed up with Harry Larry, and they took training to a whole another level, man.
Yeah.
So then I started to do the workout thing, the weightlifting, the sprint thing, and just kept chipping away and progressing
Mhm.
until I started to not only understand that side, but understand most importantly what worked for me.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
And right
Yeah.
around what time was that?
Oh man, that's a good question there. I'm gonna say 2000, right around 2000, 2001. That was when I finally copped up that I was not gonna get anywhere on bike riding ability alone.
Yeah.
I could go 360 some jumps. I could ride me some trails, but
Right.
that didn't equal shit when it came to track speed, man.
Yeah.
You know, if you in 8th, you can only pass so many people unless your last name is Harris and first name is Bubba.
Right.
Yeah.
Very few people have that insanely amazing ability about them.
Right.
And John Purse for that matter too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right.
But again, that guy was on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And so I started to finally refine my stuff and slowly and surely started to literally, you see yourself getting 8th place in moto.
Mm-hmm.
You start to get 7th, 6th.
Yeah.
Well, hey, now I only got to beat 3 people.
Yeah.
Now I only got to, and then again with the physical changes, your mental changes go.
Right.
Instead of looking at the gate, let's just say it's a lap of 6 people, and I said, "Oh, damn, these dudes are fast. I don't know if I can do this."
Mm-hmm.
Also, I changed that. Yeah, they were fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then it went, I only got to beat 2 people. I can beat 2 people.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't care who's
Right.
with me. I can beat 2 people.
Right.
And then again, just, refining everything, man. And still worked on the bike handling skill because that's still fun. And
Yeah.
the end of the day, what got us into doing the sport and being in BMX is having fun.
Right.
The reason I left the sport
Mhm.
was the fun left me and the enjoyment left me. And that's
Right.
eventually why I left. But that's why we all did it at our grassroots. You know, whether you're riding a Strider or you're still 82 years old, and I don't know if there's anybody actually raising as 82 years old, but I'm just saying.
She's almost.
Oh, the lady in
She's
Springfield,
almost,
right? Yeah.
She's almost.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the lady's name very
Miss
unfortunately.
Kitty.
Yeah. Miss
Yeah.
Kitty.
Miss Kitty.
Amazing lady.
Yeah.
Amazing lady.
Yeah.
And kudos. I saw an article the other day that talked about you still doing your thing. And that was man, that was so great to see your name still out there and still doing it and still
Yeah.
most importantly smiling. So
Yeah.
kudos to you.
Yeah, hopefully she watches this.
Mhm.
That would be awesome.
If she doesn't, whoever it is that knows her.
Yeah, we better tell her we're calling her out. So.
Yeah, we're
Yep.
talking about you.
But yeah, man, you know, at the grassroots, that's what it's all about. It's having fun.
Right.
So I still did the fun stuff, but I had to realize that the fun had to be secondary to the work portion that I didn't want to do.
Right.
Right. And even as you get older, then it translates. Nobody wants to do 40 hours a week and wants to do actual hard work to
Right.
make a paycheck.
Yeah.
But unless you live in a cardboard box, that's the reality that we all are faced. So I ain't living in no cardboard box.
That's true.
So yeah, again, just stayed with the fun, learned how to do the physical and the mental training side of things,
Mhm.
how to believe in yourself and just keep progressing and figuring it out, man.
Right.
And you don't have to carbon copy what other people at your tracks or other pros are doing, but take snippets along the way, figure out what works for you, man, and keep trying until you get it. And you keep polishing and keep refining it, and it will work.
Right.
You
Right.
just gotta be willing to make sacrifices.
Mhm.
And with anything you do in life, man, with great sacrifice comes great reward.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And for you new people that are in BMX, like Danny Nelson, he said #1 pro. Mikey Day, #1 pro. Bubba Harris, #1 pro.
Mikey Day had the Olympic silver medal.
Yeah, like this guy right here was around all the best, and he showed that he was around himself.
Mhm.
Yeah, so let's get back to this pro days and what were some of the major accomplishments and highlights of that career?
This may sound a wee bit cheesy, but it's my sports story to tell, so I'm gonna give a crap.
Mm-hmm.
I think my biggest achievement, to be honest, I won't mention the person's name. I did a lot of traveling, whether I was physically racing and traveling the world for that, or from May until the end of September, I never stayed inside my own home for 1 minute, literally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the road. If I wasn't traveling from race to race along that path, I would be doing clinics every single day. And I loved doing that. I loved getting out. I loved being able to express and, tell my story.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I got to embrace teaching people, helping people all the way around, whether it was young to old, new to bad to good to great and all that there was in between. I loved it. And so when I retired in 2008, I didn't tell anybody. My family knew. Some of my sponsors knew, basically my main ones.
Yeah.
Nobody else knew. I did my last lap. I went up to Jim Riley at the announcer's table and I said, "Hey, Jim." He said, "Hey, Mike." I said, I just wanted to let you know that was my last lap, man. And I knew it coming into this weekend. It was really good time working with you, man. And thank you. And he was like, "What?" I said, I'm done. I'm out. And he said, "You coming back?" I said, "No, I'm literally, figuratively and literally, I'm riding off into the sunset." Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Well, I got to make an announcement." I said, "No, please don't actually.
Right.
I want to tell you because Jim Riley's
Yeah.
one of the best to ever do it, man. And just a really good guy."
Still doing it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew his kid, Matt, and all that stuff too. And that was not my intent. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And at that last race, one of those kids from the clinics that, I'll say it was a female, and she used to call herself my biggest little fan. She ran up to me in the stands, and she was all of a sudden just like, I looked over and was like, "What the hell?" And she just popped right perks next to me. And my mom was like, "What the, and little girl was so ecstatic to be there hanging out with me for a moment again.
Right.
And, cause I used to go to all the places that no one got to see the pros.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I went to all the little podunk little
Yeah. The
towns.
cornfield track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't get the same exposure.
Right.
I don't need to go to SoCal that gets to see all your pros on a daily basis.
Yep.
I don't need to go to the same places. So I tried to go to other places.
Mm-hmm.
And that person came up to me and let me know, you know, how much I kind of touched them in a good way and meant to them. Well, after I retired in 2008, I turned into a ghost. Social media, everything just gone, you know? Mm-hmm. And maybe in a future podcast, we'll go into some words of wisdom that Craig Reynolds shared to me at one of my first pro nights, you know, in a hotel with him.
Yeah.
And we roomed together and he gave me some great wisdom and I followed that then as well as words to this day. And so that set me up, by the way, for a second episode at some point in time.
Oh, yeah,
so you
for
understood
sure.
that portion
Oh, yeah.
too.
We're definitely, he's coming back.
And,
Love to have him.
but, you know, this person reached out to me. I just turned on social media, a year ago? And then I'm asking my wife just to
Yeah.
know
And that's
what's coming
crazy
over here.
because, like, literally, I mean, I've had that magazine with him in it. I don't know where I put it, but I've got a magazine with me in it. And it's got a picture of him with Mark Melton, a bunch of super fast cats from back in the day, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I was like, man, it would be so cool to have these guys, you know, like almost everybody on there. Obviously, I probably won't be able to get everybody, but just having him on here is like awesome because I didn't think that I would, you know, have that type of person on here. And then like I seen you as a friend, and I'm like, I'm hitting him up, you know.
Yup.
And you actually hit me back, and I'm like, oh man, that's awesome, you know. So yeah.
And again, a true privilege and honor to be here, man.
Yeah, because I mean, not everybody forgot about you. I didn't. You know, I knew. You know, I knew. You ghosted, but I still remembered.
So when I returned that thing back on,
Mm-hmm.
that individual
Yeah.
reached out to me. They went through some pretty damn hardships,
Yeah.
especially more recently in their life, and they just reached out to me in a really good way, man, and let me know how much I meant to them during those times and what kind of transpired. So to be honest, I took and take immense amount of pride because I always told myself if I can get positive messages
Mm-hmm.
across to just one person,
Yeah.
if I can just make a quality impact on one person, I'm fulfilled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And I know I did that.
Right.
So that to be very honest, that was my most rewarding because that touches a part that your money, your plates, numbers on the front, those don't mean a damn thing.
Right.
Right.
You know, so that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
On a pure career standpoint, achievements otherwise,
Yeah.
getting to be the X Games was, I mean, and that was the X Games before the X Games turned into the
Yeah.
political hot mess that it is now.
Advertising.
Right.
Yeah. So to be hand chosen was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
To do the original Vans Triple Crown, that was the downhill races
Yeah.
when, what you mean we're doing a 65-foot jump?
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Like, in fact, the one that happened here in Wilmot, Wisconsin,
Yeah.
I remember it was a Monday. I drove down to it because it was within an hour from my house, right?
Mhm.
So I drove down, I looked at it. I was terrified. I mean, straight up 100%. And I'm not trying to be funny here. I got home and I literally called my health insurance and I said, am I covered? I did not have high aspirations and aspect of like, someone gonna die.
Right.
And it's probably gonna be me.
That's funny.
I was-
and that's the guy that had the bike skills saying that.
Right.
Shit's scary, man. And what a lot of people don't know either about that race in particular, the original last jump got modified because it was
Too much.
yeah, if you didn't have a 450 and an engine, you weren't doing it. I think it registered at like 85 feet originally. Yeah. And I sat there and I was like, there's something missing. Like it needs to be like a third, like a
Right.
middle one.
Wow.
I was petrified. So scared. So I did that on Monday. I again, not being funny, I was calling my health insurance company every day to make sure I was still covered.
Wow. Did anybody jump that?
No, they
They had to
obviously
modify it?
figured out that this was not going to work.
Right.
So by Friday's practice, that last jump got scaled back to 65,
Wow.
which we did jump.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Still scared as
65,
crap.
Yeah, 65.
Still
feet on a
pooping the
bicycle.
drawers.
Oh, I believe it.
Dude,
Yeah.
The pro sets at Grands are 35, you know, like.
Again, going down a ski mountain though, so you do
Yeah.
get momentum on
you
your
get a
side.
little bit more. That's still, you know, that's scary. That's
But-
scary.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's
as
a
hell.
long time there on a bicycle.
Yeah,
Good
and so
time.
that was amazing though to get to be a part of that, and that was super cool. X Games were cool. Getting to win your first pro actual race, that
Yeah.
was astronomically high, man.
And where was that at? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was in it was Canton, Ohio. I won
Oh,
double
really?
A pro cruiser.
Really?
Yeah.
Sweet. Canton, Ohio. I got a bunch of Ohio people.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
excluding A pro victories along that path. Those don't count.
Yeah. You know.
But there was A pro cruiser and double A cruiser.
Yep.
And in fact, at that time, I was actually racing A pro 20-inch, but double A cruiser.
Really?
And I won double A cruiser. That was my first real win. I call it. You know,
Who were
that was cool.
was there any couple guys that you were super proud of beating in that one?
Yeah. I won't mention the names out of respect,
Right.
but I'll just say on that individual's mantle, there's a whole lot of golden cups,
Nice.
and they're all for number one.
I think I have I have an idea who it is.
But I will.
I lost.
I'll say I had a great rivalry in the best of ways. I mean, all out of good times and friendship with Era Group. Man, that guy just got better with time.
Yeah.
He was worse than a fine wine, man.
Yeah.
He just, damn.
I know. And Eric Group is he's still kicking, man. He's still out
Yeah.
there whooping.
I was 23 and he was 30 something, and I was, I'm young. He put a whooping on me all the time.
Yeah.
And that guy, to this day, still, I saw him, again, just still getting down and doing his thing.
Yeah.
So, I think those were some of my most proud moments, man.
Right.
Was again getting to make that quality impact on one people, and putting it all back together. BMX has a very short memory time, right?
Mhm.
People,
Yeah.
they don't. The moment you're gone, you're gone.
Yeah.
Edit, delete, cache is cleared, and you're done.
Yeah.
Even getting to be here now, again, after being away from the sport and being out of it, still to this day, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't actually rode a BMX track in a really long time.
Right.
Like we talked about earlier, I don't really ride, so even getting to do the trails was really cool. So getting to be invited here is a very proud moment, man.
Yeah.
You may be dead, but you're not forgotten.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah. I mean, because I'm a lifer. I've been riding since I was 5. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna be one of them old dudes out there. Even if I'm on my wife's gonna be pushing me around in a wheelchair. Let's put it that way.
Mine's close.
Yeah.
Mine's close, man.
Yeah. So like, I remember everybody from way back. Like, God, even like Gary Ellis. When I was, I think 5 years old, or 6 years old, I did a clinic with them. With the whole GT crew.
Yeah.
So like, I remember everybody. Like Randy Stumpfhauser and like, dude, like just everybody. So like you, obviously you were in there. I remember. Not just because of the magazine, but just because, I paid attention to you guys, back then. Like now, like you said, I'm not downing the pros, but it was definitely a lot more exciting to watch back then, for sure.
And the whole era is different, because I remember being in high school, right? And BMXer would come in and I'd sit there on my lunch and it didn't matter where the event was, what the article, I read that damn thing front to back, back to front, inside out,
Yeah.
back again, upside down.
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't spend enough time on that.
Yeah.
And then when I got done with that in about 2 hours time, I was already chipping away the 29 more days until the next issue comes out.
Yeah. And I mean, even them, like the Pull magazine, it's like, they're doing less coverage on like nationals and stuff like that. So it's like more online, but being in the BMXer back then was like way better than being in there now. I feel like personally, but it's changed. It has a lot.
Yeah, getting old is definitely showing a lot of those things, man.
Mhm.
Even again, something we touched on briefly earlier. I wish I had this kind of technology going to myself then.
Yeah.
I had MikeGul.com and I was getting millions of views a month, man.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could have had a platform like you guys are so lucky and fortunate to get, because you guys get to touch all of these people out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're having a good ass time
Yeah,
doing what you
yeah.
genuinely want to do,
Right.
which is the most important
Right.
thing. And I love doing that stuff, man.
Yeah.
That was such a good time. And I love how you guys get to have those fortunatenesses. And today, there's a whole lot of things that are missing too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of like the whole clip and flat thing. It's a similar line.
Yeah.
On premise there.
Yeah.
So
I just wish we had the popularity that you did back then. I mean, God, he sells himself short, man. He was a damn good rider, and he did a lot. He did a lot for BMX, and he, like you said, he was the United States Olympic coach. He went and got certified. He was helping train. He was doing all types of stuff. So, like, for people that don't know him, and I mean, that's really what the show's for. To get people.
Right. It's truly a shame for the people that don't know someone who's done this much, and because, I mean, if you didn't start before 2008,
Yeah.
it was like they didn't keep bringing hey, this guy. I haven't been told. I wasn't told until today. I'm so happy I got to learn about everything.
Yeah. And that's the thing about this. I'm happy to put your story out there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you deserve it.
It's great.
man, and hopefully at some point we'll come back and we'll
Oh yeah, we'll get them.
100%.
there's a whole bunch of things.
Hold on, we
along the
gotta get that naked one in here. There's a naked story.
in our generation, there was many naked stories.
and Jason Carnes is he's a part of that too. I know he was in there wrestling naked.
Yeah, it was more, the difference between BMXers and normal folk is just what we think is funny.
Yeah.
Other people don't see the humor side of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like watching a Jackass show,
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure.
You're like, oh, sometimes they're funny.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wow,
Yeah,
that's funny because
like-
somebody got hurt. But those dudes aren't just, I actually saw Jackass being filmed live, literally, but I didn't realize it at that time. Cruising in my hypervan in downtown Hollywood, for that matter. And I look over and the original Jackass that happened where Steve-O is on the hood of a car in a Leopard Speedo.
Yeah.
And he's going through a car wash like this.
Yeah.
I shit you not. I'm literally sitting at the light in front of that car wash going, what the hell is happening? I'm in the Hyper Bicycles minivan that has 2 million miles logged into this thing, thanks to Brian Foster and all those that came before me.
Yeah.
And I looked over and there's shit, Steve-O. And I didn't realize this until years later. When the first Jackass came out, I said,
Yeah. Like, no way.
Wait a minute.
that's what I saw? Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God, I saw that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was
That's
literally like
insane.
2-3 years later, I was tripping.
Right.
Tripping.
That's crazy.
Even right now, like I got literally chicken skin and goosebumps happening from telling you.
Yeah, dude.
'Cause
It's nuts. That
It's
is
just
nuts.
funny, man.
Yeah.
And you see those guys do what they do, and sometimes you're laughing because it's always funny when somebody else gets hurt and it's
Yeah.
not you.
Right.
It's funny to watch somebody else give paper cuts, or you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
that's too much.
Yeah.
But they're actually having a good time,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Our generation was, in our era was that same thing,
Oh,
man.
yeah, for
And a bunch of us in the same hotel room, dudes doing dudes, just guy humor, man.
Yeah. Mhm.
Get out of the shower, and I gotta make sure I keep it PG. Guys getting out of the shower without things, except for a wristwatch worn in certain areas, and you just kind of walk out. Man, anybody know what time it is? Yeah, we do.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Now, keep in mind that let's just say 7 of us we are dying because that
Yeah.
is funny.
Right.
I tell that story now, and there's probably a bunch of people going,
Why would y'all do that?
Right?
"That's not
No,
funny."
That is funny.
Yeah, that shit's funny.
Oh yeah, that's funny. That's so
That is
funny.
funny. That's funny.
So yeah, man, we did some funny things, man. We didn't quite ever get to the rock star levels,
Yeah.
tear down hotels and do all
Right.
those things. But we definitely had Had good times.
Were you on the beach when they were nude?
I wasn't. I definitely had my own nude stories, but I was not involved on that particular one.
Yeah. Lots of good stories from back in the pros. We'll get more of them next time for sure.
Yeah, Peter's well known.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So, yeah, we'll just start off with next time we'll come up and we'll bring some more stuff because obviously he's a good dude and he has a whole lot of many stories. So.
Oh yeah.
I'll throw it out there. You guys put it in your likes button, right? Like this thing, add your comments, do what you guys all do nowadays. And when I get brought back, whatever that man chooses, we'll do it. And I'll even throw you a bone better than that. Here's what we're gonna do. So when I come back, I want you to pick your number one comment that's said, the number one question.
Okay.
You choose it. I don't care what it is.
Right.
Whoever gets that chosen, I will give them one of my all-time classic jerseys. I have every single jersey that I've ever raced in my entire, literally all the way back to my 15 novice days.
Really?
I have every single one of those.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I will personally hand whoever you choose, I'll personally send one of those out to them.
Okay.
Choose my wife.
Man, to choose my wife.
You better ask one hell of a question. Because there's one hell of a story to be told.
Right. Yeah. But so go on there. You heard him. Let's get this going.
Don't forget, you got it.
Yep. So he already said all the likes and all notification, all the bell. Yep. So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for coming and watching.
Make sure you go to Kid Gunny on YouTube. Check her out. She's going to be the next YouTube superstar. That's the Step Kid. She's coming at you live. Again, Kid Gunny. KIDGUNNY. If you thought this was good, you ain't seen nothing, people.
Yeah.
Peace.